Just give me a minute. So we are a community for global entrepreneurs. We educate, inspire, and connect entrepreneurs across the globe. And we have over 600 cities and in 125 countries. We have kind of connected over 2 million entrepreneurs so far. The whole idea about entrepreneurship is actually there are a lot of challenges for entrepreneurs. They're really looking for inspiration. They're looking for connecting with other entrepreneurs, and they're looking for some sort of an education. I think we try to bring all those things together using Startup Grind. Core values are pretty simple. We believe in giving first and not taking. We believe in making friends, not the contacts, and we believe in helping others before helping yourself. All these events are not really possible without our amazing sponsors. Comerica Bank has been really supporting us from day one. Really appreciate their support. They believed in us and they believed in the Startup Grind, Frisco chapter, that we can bring the local entrepreneurs and local ecosystem of entrepreneurship really strong using this platform. So thank you, Comerica Bank, and thank you all other partners who actually make our events extremely successful. They give us a lot of support behind the scenes as well. So thank you, partners. Our next event is going to be February 25th, 6:30 p.m. It's about half an hour, from our usual time. You'll be learning a lot about raising funds, building startups, angel investing. It's going to be extremely engaging session, like all our sessions, and you don't want to miss this. We're going to be talking about, for people who really want to start their companies and build from 0 to 7 figures, and people who really want to get into angel investing or, raising funds, and all the good stuff we'll be talking about. And the reason for this time being 6:30 p.m. is the speaker will be joining us from India. One of the greatest things that happened for us with the virtual is we could really tap into the ecosystem of the global speakers, not just the local speakers. So that really gave us, a lot more, breadth to go after, much bigger speaker ecosystem here. So again, I really appreciate everyone joining us for the next session as well. Spread the news, spread the word, and this is going to be a really engaging session. And for all your upcoming events and updates, obviously, please visit startupgrind.com/Frisco. We have one more event this month, as like I mentioned. We have another event coming up in March, a local company in Dallas. Two founders, my wife and husband, co-founders. They're really doing amazing stuff. So we're going to bring them to the event. So look forward to that session as well. And you can find all of that in the upcoming event session in startupgrind.com/Frisco. Again, so today's event will be moderated by Hareesh Menon, and he'll be talking about we'll be talking with Suresh about supply chain industry, and he'll be going more deep into that. So having said that, I'll come back again in the end. Hareesh, over to you. You can take it from here.
Thank you, Ramesh. Thank you to all for joining us. It's the first of our Startup Grind from the Frisco chapter, so it's a pleasure to kick it off this year. And like Ramesh said, we hope to have many more coming forward. We've already got a few lined up, and we'll keep that going. Before I continue, I just want to make sure if anybody has an echo, could you please just chat and let us know? But I'm going to assume that I'm audible, and so Suresh when he starts speaking. Okay, good. So Suresh, once again, thank you so much for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you on board, and a welcome to everyone who's on the call, and to everyone who's going to be hearing this at some point in the near future as we circulate it. Welcome to everyone. So Suresh has over 25 years of experience in a combination of business process, digital transformation, plant automation, with a lot of specialization around supply chain and procurement transformation services. So he's the perfect person when it comes to talking about Industry 4.0, which is broadly the topic that we're going to cover, but we'll try to slice it into more real terms for all of us. Suresh, his background would be he's currently the Chief Growth and Digital Officer at Centum Electronics. Prior to this, he was the CEO of a company called Corbus, where he led and set up their supply chain practice. And prior to that, he spent 17 years between GE and Genpact, where he helped build their supply chain and procurement practice and took it all the way to about 700 million. In addition to all that, he is also an entrepreneur, and we will cover that as we go along. So, Suresh, welcome again. You've had a fantastic journey. Could you quickly introduce us and how you've got here at this point?
Yeah, thank you. First of all, it's a pleasure to meet Ramesh and again connecting back with you. So, one is I have known Hareesh for some time now, and we keep in touch. We talk about different subjects, and one of the conversations that I was having with Hareesh was about the digital transformation space and how we look at supply chain, Industry 4.0, and what I'm doing in my current role at Centum. And that's how Hareesh actually, spoke about the event, and he wanted me to talk about what are some of the things in Industry 4.0 and what are the stuff that are happening in this space. So that's how we came to this discussion.
Fantastic. Suresh, would you take a couple of minutes and just introduce us to your background and how you've got through your GE, Genpact, Corbus, and now Centum?
Sure. So I'm a mechanical engineer by profession. So when I started my career with a manufacturing company, with Thermax in India as an NPI leader. Then when I joined GE almost 20 years back, we started looking at I joined them to drive some of the plant automation stuff, and then went into the sunrise industry back then, which was more in analytics, the back office for supply chain, customer service in GE. And then as GE spun off that division, it became Genpact, and I continued with them. I was leading their supply chain. I was leading their engineering services business, and then into, taking that into IoT and helping, with digital transformation for many of the customers that we work with. Either it could be in terms of the process digitalization, their supply chain digitalization, or looking at their factories and how we convert them into a smart factory solution, right? Or also looking at the assets and how to them make that more smarter so that they can enhance their revenue as well as optimize their costs. So that's what I did. And then having spent that time, I think I got an opportunity to build something with a small company called Corbus, and I was heading their supply chain as the CEO, starting to, it was a consulting company, and then, moved on to Centum, which is a manufacturing. It has all nuggets, right? It has the engineering, it has the manufacturing, and the digital transformation side, and that's what interested me in joining Centum.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Suresh. So let's dig now straight into the topic, the Industry 4.0, or the fourth industrial revolution, as we've been calling it. Some might be aware, but some may not. We've technically had three revolutions, starting with steam engine being one, electricity being two, the computers and all that coming in as being three. The fourth revolution, which is currently what we are part of, includes terms that we take for granted today, the IoT, the AI/ML, 3D printing, and things like that. Smart factories, smart processes. So all these new terms that are coming out are all part of this Industry 4.0 concept. Is my definition right, Suresh? And how would you kind of define Industry 4.0?
Yeah, there are a lot of acronyms that are used, IoT, IIoT, smart factory, smart asset. But all this is part of the digital transformation that is happening, Hareesh. Okay, so there are a couple of things if you really look at from a digital transformation standpoint. The first thing you need to understand is what is digital transformation, right? So the way it used to happen is 15, 20 years back. If you really look at technology, we used to bring in technology to automate the processes, right, and drive more productivity. That was more internal. It was more internal focused to drive more efficiency. But digital transformation is all about enhancing customer experience. Okay. The way I look at this is, it is all about how you are able to integrate the digital tools with all aspects of your business, right? And how are you able to fundamentally change how you operate and add value to your customers, right? It's about, you in your factory or in your process, you collect tons of data, right? How do you make use of this data, and how do you get insights and use that insights to action that? Either it is to optimize your supply chain, or reduce your mean time between failures if you're in a factory, or manage your warranty cost. So there are different stuff that you can do, but it is very clearly linked to outcomes, and it is leveraging data and then using technology to automate some of them. So that's the stuff that is there. And there are a lot of acronyms, as I said, but end of the day, it is about how you are able to improve the customer experience and focus on business outcomes.
Interesting. So fundamentally, it is almost entirely data driven, and looking at data and dicing it so that eventually you can drive greater value. And obviously there's going to be efficiencies and all those aspects that are part of it. But from our side, like for us, example being the consumer end of the entire process, how is this going to really influence our life? I mean, can you give us an example of what can we see changing from what we're used to seeing today?
As companies are going to shift towards digital transformation, which they have to, and many customers have already started, and pandemic has actually accelerated the digital transformation, right? I would say, if you had asked me this question almost a year back, I would have said that there are a lot of skeptics still, but now after the pandemic, it's actually accelerated that, because they had no other choice. They had to do this, right? But the way life is changing for the consumers is in terms of, people need to reskill themselves, right? As we look at things, there are going to be a lot of areas where it is going to be redundant in near future, but the new technologies, the new programming, that's what is going to come in, and people need to reskill themselves. Gone are the days where you had 20 years of academic career and 40 years of professional career. You could just do that. But now, every 3 to 4 years, there are new things that are coming, right? And you have to reskill yourself. If you have to, it's a continuous process. And if you don't learn, you'll be obsolete pretty soon. So that's one thing that is, as a consumer, as people who are actually aspiring to grow, that is that's important.
Yeah.
How is it going to impact from a business standpoint? You will see that a lot of products are connected now, right? So you will get a lot more data in terms of functioning. What are the aspects that are there? Do your maintenance? All of that you could get right at your fingertips today, or your mobile app. So that's how things are going to change. All of your devices, so people know what kind of machines, how are you using that machine, what is the load it is carrying, so all of that information is there at the OEM today. So it makes your life much more easier, and the user experience gets better every.
Very interesting. Suresh, thank you for that. I just wanted to pause for a minute. I did have a little echo when you spoke. I want to make sure that people can hear you well. I can hear you, but I'm just saying I can hear also an echo
Okay.
So I just want to see if anyone's talking about an echo issue. If it's just me, I can hear you, but give it a 30 seconds to see if anyone responds on the chat window. So far seems fine. No one's mentioned it. Okay. Fair enough. Good. So Suresh, then I want to maybe go a little deeper on this topic. So before we go into deeper, let's look at it like from an opportunity point of view, right? This is suddenly changing everything. You mentioned about what COVID is sort of becoming a catalyst for a certain set of opportunities. There are companies who are jumping into this because they see the various benefits of having a system that is more and more automated than ever before. So could you give us 2-3 kind of classic examples of what might be the opportunity sitting in front of us that hasn't been tapped yet?
Yeah, so right on the supply chain side, it is moving towards supply chain, right? So think about a couple of years back, you know, if a retailer demand, it has to go to the distributor, then it goes to you, then it goes to the supplier, and there is a time lag, right? Now, connected system, right? The information flow, the data flow is your fulfillment does not get impacted, right? So that companies now as they move with this internet, the supply chain has never before, and so it is very important for how they are using this new technology, so that they can be and make sure the fulfillment, right? That's one. If you really look at how digital transformation is impacting the manufacturing, the overall digital, and then it has to be manually entered. Now, with this model-based engineering, you make any change, it flows through your system so that people are able to get an instant view of what is changing, and they can make that change in their manufacturing process, in their supply chain, or in their maintenance cycle immediately, right? So you have significant benefits helping your productivity, or service cost optimization. So you are able to optimize your service cost, and also you are able to reduce your machine downtime, right? That's a kind of stuff that you are able to see. That's one area on that side. And think about for the OEM's asset, right? We were just talking about how your assets are getting connected and how you are able to predict failures, and hence you will know when to pull down your machine, right? So let me give you an example. Think about aircraft engines, right? It's a normally that the industry has a service contract. They have service contract with the airlines, and so the way the service contract is structured is the amount of time the flight is on air, you get paid for that. So it's in the best interest of the OEMs to make sure that the engine is up and running, right? And if they pull down the engine, there is a huge maintenance cost, because they have to dismantle the engine, they have to repair that. There is a huge cost that goes in, right? So by doing this predictive analytics, this digital transformation coming in, you are able to collect the data, you are able to predict what failures are there, and hence you can bring it down during the lean period, right? Or if the engine is performing well, you just don't have to do anything, it just keeps on flying. So you improve your revenue for OEMs, the services revenue goes up, you optimize your service cost, and for the airlines, the revenue goes up because their engine is up and running, and so they can fly the planes, right? So that's a kind of impact that this is bringing to the customers, right? And as people use this, as people make the change, they are seeing significant benefit on this. Harish, you're on mute, looks like.
Yeah. I just put on mute to avoid the echo. I'll just keep toggling on the mute.
Yeah.
So it sounds like, to me, it almost sounds like people have come into a realization that there is a whole new world, a whole new set of opportunities out there. And I know the adoption took some time, but it sounds like everyone is trying to adopt it because that's the only way to stay competitive. So then the question is, if the big players were the ones who took on, if you took airliners, the Boeings and the Air Frances and everyone else, what about the smaller medium scale? Are they also moving towards the Industry 4.0 standards, or are they able to compete? Or do you think there's going to be a mismatch of who's playing in that game and who's unable to yet catch up?
That's a good question. Harish, pandemic, actually, we are seeing that even small and medium enterprises are going after the digital transformation. But there are, there are different kinds of digital transformation, right? There is where you are leveraging robotic process automation for doing your digital transformation, where you're automating some of your processes and so on and so forth. And there is this Industry 4.0 where you're automating your factory, right? When you're automating your factory, there is a lot of capex investment that is needed, because you need to change your IT system, your server, you need to have machines that could compute faster and higher. So you need that kind of stuff. So there is a capital investment that is needed, right? So the small and medium enterprises may not have that, but what they have is the process automation that they can do, by which they can gain certain amount of efficiency. That is definitely going to be a lag between the big guys and the small guys, but pretty soon they are catching up in that.
I've read about the Japanese system. They have some concept called keiretsu, in which they have a combination of a manufacturing company, a finance company, or a bank, and insurance company. And if I look at the same model of how they have succeeded in Japan over the last 50 years, I'm wondering if funding becomes a big opportunity today for people to invest in companies that are interested in Industry 4.0 technology. Because if funding is there, I'm sure you're going to have all kinds of startups, 5-member, 10-member teams that can actually come and rattle the status quo of the market today.
Oh, absolutely. And, it is not only about doing the digital transformation, but the adjacency to the digital transformation is also huge, right? Where there are companies who are building predictive tools. There are companies who are talking about cybersecurity. That's a big area, cybersecurity, right? Because all your machines are getting connected today. All your devices are connected. You are getting tons of data, so it is exposing all your assets. There is vulnerability to your assets, so hence cybersecurity becomes very important. Again, the way people are thinking is, there is many companies are thinking about IT security. IT security is different from operational technology, the OTPs, right? Because now your shop floor assets are also getting connected, which is the operational technology is also getting connected, right? So that again becomes a big portion of that, right? So that is there. And then there are companies which are doing sensors to fit that sensors in your legacy equipments, right? A lot of these legacy equipments do not have sensors, so they are not able to collect the data, right? So you need to fit the sensors in. So there are a lot of companies, the sensor companies are going to have a big game there. The people who can design that sensors and fit that and collect data, the services companies are going to have a big play. The predictive analytics tools, they are going to have a big play. And obviously, the service companies also do the remote monitoring and the customer service work for some of these OEMs. So there is a big play there as well. So you're right, Hareesh, there is a huge opportunity for product companies who are trying to build the predictive analytics tools, the cybersecurity companies, the sensor companies. There is a huge opportunity. There is a huge, opportunity to create new business, which is already there, and it is just growing actually. And to your point, investment in this kind of world, if you are able to bring in a tool that shows a quick value, you get huge funding pretty quickly.
Absolutely. In fact, just the other day, I was talking to a client of mine who was talking to me about looking for analytics resources who understands machine failure analytics. It was the first time I came across that term, and so the profile of people who can understand that, it's not easy to find yet. It's probably just a handful of people out there. So, Suresh, could we just move a little bit from here? I just want to understand your role at Centum. So, you're there. You've got a large pie. You've got the whole sales piece. You've got the digital transformation piece. Centum is not a new company by any means. It's been around for a long time. They've got some marquee clients. What exactly would be your role, and how do you hope to move the needle for a company that has been around and moving towards this whole digital transformation space?
Sure. So I have two roles that I play in Centum, Hareesh. So one is as a chief growth officer, driving growth across different business units in Centum. So we have as I said, we do the electronic manufacturing, we do engineering design, and we have a strategic business unit where we help the defense DoD as well. So so I take care of sales for all these product lines. My second role is about digital business. So two things. One is doing digital transformation internally within Centum. That is one of the core things that we are working on, because for us, we are, the way I say it is, we are a big small company. So basically we are a big company, but we act as a startup. So we are very agile, very nimble, and we are basically embracing the new technology that is coming in. So one of the things that we are driving is the digital transformation internally. But that said, we are also building a digital business where we have this engineering design services business, which is which does a lot of the sensor design, and then working with the clients to fit the sensors, collect different kinds of data, and then we also manufacture that sensors or electronic equipments in our factory. So we had a perfect solutions where we could actually be providing an end-to-end solution for a client, where we could design the sensor, we could fit the sensor, collect the right data, and then we could do the predictive analytics also, right? So that's the stuff that we are working on, where we are able to provide smart factory solution to our client. We are able to provide smart asset solution, and then bring in the cyber security to help client manage the data protection, data risk aspect. So we will be a one-stop solution, right from connecting your assets, to collecting data, to computing your data, to providing the outcome, whether it is optimizing their supply chain or reducing the mean time between failure. So we do the complete end-to-end, and that's the business that I lead as well.
Fantastic. Just wondering, when Centum has been around for a while. So did the founders of Centum, for example, let's say 10 years ago, did they and everyone in their space 10 years ago, did they really notice or understand that the market was heading this way, or is this all happening almost ad hoc as computation power increases, as we get access to more data? Is it like a trend that no one saw coming, and or could people have prepared themselves for this a few years ago?
I think it is, I would say that the thought process has been there for last 3 to 4 years, ever since the digital transformation has been coming in. And, and as we look at some of the work that we are doing for our clients, as I mentioned, some of the activities around building the sensors, collecting the data and all that, the only thing that we were not doing was predicting and helping the client achieve their goals. So I think that process was there. We didn't set it across in a proper way, and that's what we are trying to do now, right? And the way we say is it's a machine to P&L impact. So we are dealing with machine, right? And as long as we are able to provide a P&L impact to the client, whether it is helping them increase their revenue or optimize their cost or reduce mean time between failures so that their productivity goes up, there is a significant value that we can deliver, right? So that's what we talk about, that it's a machine to P&L impact that we create through digital transformation.
Okay. There are a number of these technologies that are coming in as part of robotics and the IoT and AI, ML. But one of the technologies that I keep reading about is mixed reality. And I happened to speak to someone not long ago who runs a company right here in Dallas, and he actually services the POS machines and machines at the checkout counters of various grocery stores, for example. And he was explaining to me some days back about how his new sales team or the new maintenance team, and I found it really fascinating. I didn't even know this was happening. So he would talk about his team would go down to, let's say, a Kroger where an issue is in place. The person is looking at the equipment and he's unable to figure out what small part is causing the problem because the service maintenance person, for example, is not fully qualified. And he's able to turn on his phone, look at it, and based on someone sitting elsewhere, and this is where mixed reality comes in, the other person on the other end of the phone is able to tell him what is wrong based on what they can see. And then he combines that, he does his work. So instead of taking the POS machine out of the store completely, now they are actually fixing the machine right on the spot. And I found that quite remarkable that we're actually there. It almost seems like a movie, but he's doing it today.
No, absolutely. And that is also part of what they call as smart services. Okay, you hear the buzzwords around smart factory, smart asset, smart services is the other piece that this is driving to it. As you rightly mentioned, it's the mixed reality, right? So where you a service engineer is at that particular area, and even if he is not technically qualified to do that, he this mixed reality can help the person sitting elsewhere who's an expert see that stuff and tell him what he needs to do to actually fix that equipment, right? And and there are different tools and stuff which can actually figure out what are the readings that needs to be there, and he will basically guide him in terms of how to connect, what reading he should check. So it is like real time, he's able to see that equipment and repair that sitting remotely, right? So yeah, that is gaining a huge momentum now. In fact, one of the things that is also happening is about on-demand field engineers, right? So people are saying, for a lot of some of these companies, they're basically saying that, hey, why do I need to have field engineers in New York? Why do I need to have field engineers in a high-cost city like San Francisco and all that? Because not that they are completely utilized every time. There is, and can I use on-demand resources, right? And have somebody who could be there, but the expert is somewhere else and he can help through this mixed reality, right? And similarly, if in a remote location, why do I need to have one service engineer or a field engineer stationed there when I know that his utilization is going to be only around 50% or 60%? I would rather do it from remotely, right? And or I can get an on-demand engineer who can get things done. So I think the to what you mentioned, the mixed reality is actually another digital transformation stuff that they are doing on the services side of the business.
And all this is happening pre 5G. So I can imagine the rapid spurt when 5G comes in and data transfer is so much faster between places. Suresh, I want to shift a little bit. I know we've talked briefly about your interest in entrepreneurship and what you're doing there. Could you share some information on that, please?
Sure. Yeah. So, almost around 3 years back, I, along with a couple of colleagues, started an entrepreneurial venture. Again, that is basically connecting engineers and consultants with enterprises, right? Uh, with all this stuff happening, digital transformation happening, clients are really skeptical about investing in high cost resources and hiring them on their roles, right? Whether it is the digital resource, analytics resource, cybersecurity resource, these are all high cost resources. So they basically are saying that, hey, do I need to have these resources on my roles, or can I have them on demand, right? Can I get them, do the short term projects, and I'm done with that? Because they really do not know after 6 7 months or a year, once the project is done, what are they going to do with this resource, right? Is there any other project, or how they want to manage? And I think we saw that as an opportunity, and we said, hey, here is a platform that we can build, which can connect the enterprises and the engineers or consultants, and all the short-term projects, whether it is 2 months, 6 months, 1 year, can be done on demand. So there is no strings attached to that, and that's what the customers love, right? They get the resource that they, when they need it, they are able to get things done pretty quickly, and and it solves their problem, and also they are able to get it at a lower cost. Their overall cost comes down because there is no recruitment cost, there is no cost of severance or anything for them to manage if they have to lay them off, and so on and so forth. So I think that's where we saw that there is an opportunity, and we built this platform actually.
Interesting. So we started talking about machine utilization, and we're ending with human utilization. Sort of that's where it seems to be. Excellent. A question on I'm sure many of us on this call have kids, and just curious, as we gaze into the what's next 5 years, 10 years down the road, what technologies do you think are going to become very prevalent, and what do we kind of tell our kids about where the market might be or what they should be looking for? Because I think our generation, if I kind of put everybody in a block, we have a belief that what we saw growing up in the early 2000s or late 90s, and that sort of the technology spread, and we kind of use that as a basis. But it's quite possible that the technologies of the next 5 to 10 years are going to be radically different. So from a future gazing point of view, what technologies would you think will pop up or will get better noticed? And if there was some advice to give our kids of what they should be looking at.
Yeah, so Harish, things are changing so rapidly that it is very difficult to predict what kind of skill set will prevail 10 years from now, right? So it is difficult to talk about what's going to happen 3 years from now, because with the rapid changes that are happening. But one thing that I would definitely say is that every individual going further needs to have a specialized skill and needs to know the programming languages, right? Whatever level he is, whether he's the CEO, COO, CTO, whatever he is, he needs to know the programming language, because that's going to be very prevalent as we go on. Because with all the digital transformation happening, people are going to talk the same language going further, right? It's going to be more 10 years down the line. So one, they need to be aware that reskilling is important, and it's a continuous learning process. Every 4 or 5 years, they need to be learning new things and keep updating themselves, because that's become the new normal now. Two is, at least sitting today, I would say that learning programming is a must. Whatever is prevalent today, learning that and being fluent in that is going to help. Even if not fluent, at least understanding that and able to do their work is going to be extremely important. I think our generation, a lot of us do not know the programming, but we got away with the understanding the aspects of that. But now going further, it's definitely going to be something that they need to have. It's a must to have actually for them.
Nice. Good, Suresh. It's been a beautiful conversation. There's probably a lot more we can dig into, but I want to just be conscious of the time as well. And kind of, if you've got questions, then I'd like to take a few questions. If not, we can go through a couple of more questions at our end itself. So why don't I just open it up, and if anyone has a question, if you could put it up on your chat, we can get that question out there, and we've got about 15 minutes ahead of us. So I'm just going to request anyone who's got a question, please put it out there. Right. In the meantime, I'll carry on. We talked about cybersecurity in between, and that is, I think, it could very well be the one big piece that will keep the industry from going forward. So just I want to get your perspective. What are the new things that are developing in that cybersecurity space as it pertains to Industry 4.0? And because it has to evolve with the insane amount of data that's going to come in at every factory level, between factory machines, between cars, between, at home today, we've got, between 20 and 40 different devices talking to each other, which didn't happen 3 years ago. I'm just very curious your take on how cybersecurity is going to change and how our lives are going to be evolving around cybersecurity.
Yeah. So Hareesh, if you really look at some of the challenges in implementing Industry 4.0, cybersecurity is at the top. Okay. There are others like change management, others like in terms of capital cost and all that, and reskilling and everything. But cybersecurity is at the top because two things are happening, right? All the companies have IT cybersecurity very clearly laid out, but as when it comes to OT, there is a lot of changes that are happening. I don't think they have figured out how to do that. So that's going to be pretty key. And I think there are a lot of new stuff that are coming up there. But that said, currently I see that there are lot of new laws coming in. I don't know if you saw this Singapore cybersecurity labeling law. There is the CMMC law. There is, in fact, Ohio also, there is a new law that has come in where they are putting more onus on the OEMs to manage their product much better. So what it means is that the OEMs have to manage the life cycle of the product from a cybersecurity point of view. So there is going to be more patches that they need to release, and that requires a lot of design. So that space is, in my view, is going to be a key space because that's what is going to drive digital transformation, and that's one of the biggest challenges that I see. So it's a key component of digital transformation as I see that.
Perfect. And the other big question, which is probably out there, I'm sure there's a whole segment of society who will be talking about it going forward, is the whole impact of Industry 4.0 on environment. There is a correlation over there as well. I see it in a few chat groups that I've been part of where, how can digital transformation or just the better machines, better utilization of machines, optimization in output, wastage being minimized, how all that is going to affect the environment. Just curious, because we never know, we might have someone here who's got a keen interest in environmental issues. So is there a correlation there that you hear about?
Yeah, so there is definitely a correlation, and there are two aspects that I see. One is reducing the waste, right, as you were mentioning. So today when you look at this Industry 4.0, and if you're in a manufacturing process, if you have 4 steps that you want to do in today's environment, if you don't have digital, you go through the manufacturing process, and at the end of the 4th step is what whether the product is the quality meets or it's a scrap, what you need to do, right? Now, even at the first step itself, you'll be able to detect, and it will not move to the second stage unless it is meeting the required tolerance, right? And you will be able to change or make sure that your product is meeting the standards before it goes to the second stage, right? So your scrap reduction, your wastage is lower, right? That again is environment friendly. That's one. Second is from a electricity consumption standpoint, people are now moving towards more sustainable energy rather than using the coal or fossil fuel and all that, right? So that also has an impact on environmental stuff, actually, right?
Yeah, fantastic. Good. Good. This has been a very interesting conversation, Suresh. Thank you. Just a very casual question last, and I'd like to end, and then I'll pass it back to Ramesh. I know you said future gazing is going to be tough, but I'm always interested in people's perception of what happens, because you look at your life in 10-year intervals. You seldom know what the next 10-year brings, but it just seems to fall into life, right? It just happens and it just becomes. So just curious, with your background and being at the heart of this industry 4.0 and watching how we are going to be consuming things in the future, could you visualize for us, or help us visualize, what the 5 years or even 10 years hence will look like? I mean, would it be drone technology dropping stuff for us? Would it be what is going to change? How would life be different in your opinion? And we'll talk about your predictions 10 years later, but just curious.
Yeah. Look, I think with all this new technology coming in, with 5G coming in, right, things are going to change drastically, right? Think about this. We spoke about people doing remote work. With 5G coming in, the access that they will have to the data, the speed at which they can do sitting remotely, that changes significantly, right? The 3D printing that is happening today, it will the amount of data that they can now work on and do that, the entire stuff in terms of design to prototype, the cost would be significantly lowered, right? So there are a lot of areas that I believe that with this 5G coming in, things are going to change significantly in the coming days. But again, as I said, there is so much of new stuff coming in. It is very difficult to predict what will happen from 5 to 10 years from now. But I definitely see that 5G is going to play a significant role in terms of how the new technologies are going to evolve and how digital transformation is going to change. I think 5 years from now, we'll be talking about much more different stuff than digital transformation. That's what I see, actually.
Very, very exciting. Thank you, Suresh. Ramesh, if you could return and we'll take it to closure from here.
We have one question from Srikanth. Do you want to take that one?
Yeah, I'll take that. Yeah. So Srikanth asks, while we see that most of the companies have adopted to the new normal during COVID, how is digitization of supply chain helping during these times like these?
Yeah. So Srikanth, see, all these companies have their supply chain being disrupted like never before, as you have seen. So what is happening is that they are now trying to see how digital can help them provide real-time visibility to their raw materials, their operations. Second is, how can they look at communicating with their suppliers more efficiently, so that they need not wait for for the process to follow. As I was mentioning, for one of the CPG companies, the retailer sends the information today to the wholesaler. From there, it goes to the OEM, and then it goes to the supplier, right? And so there is a huge amount of time lag in terms of fulfillment. So now they are saying that, hey, with this digital transformation, my entire stuff is connected. So any information that the demand change that happens in retailer instantly goes to the supplier, and he's ready. He's started the working on the new demand, right? So that's going to change significantly from a supply chain standpoint. It is going to provide real-time visibility to all the people, all the stakeholders across the board, right? And that's how things are going to improve. And with whatever we are seeing, not only because of COVID, but because of the China trade as well, this is going to be one of the significant things. And that's why supply chain would be at the forefront of having digital transformation, adopting digital transformation first, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. Any more questions, guys? Anyone would like to ask? Feel free. If not, I know we're almost at the edge of 7 p.m. Central here. Suresh, thank you for that. Ramesh, would you have anything to move?
Yeah, no, we're top of the hour here. That was an amazing session, guys. Very informative. Thank you, Suresh, for your valuable time today. Thank you, Hareesh. That was a great session. And so a recording of this will be available on startupman.com/Frisco soon. So you can share this with people who would be interested in learning about the supply chain industry and with your friends and family as well. So again, we have our next event coming up on 25th of this month. If you want to learn all about startups, raising funds and angel investments, and that's the best event for you guys to attend. Again, thank you so much. We will be making these events more engaging, and we'll try to work on our audio problems and try to get these systems much better in the future. So again, thank you all for joining us. Have a safe evening. Take care all.